Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we are going to do a character guide on Kurosame. Now Kurosame just got his FR and BT, so we got a little bit of a rework here and some things to talk about, so this should be a little bit better than my last character guide, so we can see what he's doing now with these new upgrades, right? Those of you unfamiliar with Kurosame, basically He's really known for his really impactful debuff, which is why his call is so good. We'll talk about his call in just a second. But then he also does have follow-ups. He does Ice Enchant and Peril. He does some pretty solid damage. I'm expecting his damage to look a lot better now with the upgrades. And he's also got a BT that's got some nifty things in it as well. So in this video, I did manage to pick up the FR, but I did not get the BT, and I'm not chasing the BT. So we will explain the BT, but we will not be able to see it in the video. So yeah, we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and look at his calls, his artifacts, and his spheres. Kurosame, basically since he's come out, has always been known as one of the better calls in the game. He's still a call that I will frequent, right? So the big thing is on both of his calls, when he comes in, he puts on his really important debuff called Hyoro. And what this debuff does is it does a speed down and it does an ice imperil. But the big thing is it has an HP damage taken up. Now this is a stacking buff, and this buff will increase in stacks either when Kurosame does certain attacks to increase it, or when the enemies take a turn, it will go up by 1 until it gets to 5 stacks. At 5 stacks, you have an HP damage up of 30%, which is really good, especially on a call, right? The only thing is that if the enemies take a turn while it's at full stacks, it goes back down to 1 stack. Now, we do have some ways around that, and we'll talk about that with this kit, right? So no matter which call you use, you're going to get it, right? And then Iceblade Erensen, other than putting that debuff on, it will enchant the caller for ice, and it does do an attack and max brave up for the caller as well. So, for the actual caller, this is really good, and Ice Enchant is really good. We've talked about why Elemental Enchant is so good on calls, is because some fights will call for an element, because you're maybe using an Ice FR or whatever element FR, and you're using a non-elemental character, and you want to enchant for that. It's really useful for that type of stuff, right? The LD call, this is absolute zero. This is also going to Ice Enchant, but this will actually enchant the party. And then it will do an attack and overflow stolen up, and then elemental damage weakness up, as well as he'll pop in and he'll put that debuff on, right? So if you guys played at the beginning of the Force era when Cam was ridiculous, right? Kurosame was a key part of making Cam work. So Kurosame call was important because Cam's FR requirement needed ice, but Cam did not enchant for ice. So this was the key way to get ice on the party, and then you had to set up launching, and then you had launching and ice, and you could go to town. And that was when you were getting like 80% in attack, back when you're only supposed to be getting like 20, 30, maybe 40% in attack, right? So this call's been very good throughout time, but mainly it's good in any situation as long as enchanting for ice doesn't hinder you. It's a good call because 30% HP damage up is a very good thing. It just means you're doing more damage, right? So his call is good. It is very notable, right? So if you want to hop in with some tickets for the LD, I would not blame you. But with calls like Reigns and Raijin and stuff, you wouldn't have to have Kurosame, and there's been other stuff that's come out that also does HP damage up. It's not as like a must-have call as it used to be, but it's still a very good call, and Ice Enchant is really valuable to have, right? So let's look at Kurosame himself here. And let's start with artifacts. Pretty simple here on the artifacts. We're just going to go attack 108 and his C50. So I'm going attack 108 and silent commander up. So you're going to get attack and max brave with that C50. Alternatively, you could just do attack 108 max brave 330. You should be fine either way. But attack is really important on him because he's mostly a damage dealer and he's got follow-ups that are going to be doing damage as well, right? Then let's go ahead and look at his spheres. Now, I wouldn't say that my spheres are like super optimal, especially my E slot, but you want to really go attack and brave damage with him because that's really what he's about. I would say this is a character with the follow-ups. Brave damage might be a little bit better, but that's why I went with Rydia, because you just get both, right? Attack and brave damage. This is a weakness damage trigger, so I think weakness damage spheres work really well in Kurosame. He's always going to be hitting weakness damage. So yeah, Rydia, I know it's a go-to a lot, but that's one that I really like here. I've talked about it before, actually in my last video. 7 is good because that's weakness damage trigger for brave damage, right? And then Jack, not Jack Garland, but just the normal Jack from Type 0. His is good, is also an attack brave damage one. I think it's just for dealing a crit, so it's really easy to trigger with other characters. So I'd say those three would probably be what I would be looking at here for A slot, right? D slot, just go any of the attack up ones. So Ash, Saz, Lise, Hope. I think Cisne's another one. There's a whole bunch of them out there, right? But Luna Freya, it's a weakness damage trigger, so I figured I'd throw her on because not every character can use it. So that's going to be a party attack up there. The E slot, you probably want to go like Yuffie, Seymour, Emperor, like one of those attack up ones. I just happen to have Kurosami on because that's like he came with it and I slapped it on him and I don't have a removal slot. This just does a speed down. Not the craziest, but it's something. Sure, I'll just leave it there. But realistically, you probably want to do an attack up there, right? All right, so with that, let's just hop into the showcase and see how our guy is looking. We're going to run him on a more traditional setup with... I feel like this is the type of setup you would most notably use him on, is something where you've got just like a support character, a main damage dealer, and he would be like a third slot utility. The other place you would use him, I think he could possibly work with... I don't know if I'd say Rubicante, because he can't be like enchanted for fire. But in off-turn setups, he does like an extra follow-up attack, so you'll get extra damage during a force. So if it's a force that you can meet and you have something like, you know, like a Maria FR or something like that, like he might be able to gel a little bit in there. But for the most part, I would say I would use him in a more traditional setup because he's going to do a lot for the party in a traditional fight in terms of like locking out the enemies, putting that really good HP damage up, and just being like your kind of secondary damage dealer with a little bit of utility, right? That's how I would probably use him. All right, so let's just hop into a fight. We'll see how our guy's looking here. I guess I didn't bring a force charger, so yeah, let's grab we'll grab Hope. He's a good force charger. We'll just grab Hope here. And then that way we can just charge up a bunch, and then we can just ramp up and do what we want to do, right? All right, so Kurosami, he is going to come in, and I believe we are going to start with some buffs and some debuffs up. So yeah, they are going to start with the good debuff, and it's at 2 stacks, okay? And once again, so we're getting HP damage up. It's not 30% yet. We got to get it to 5 stacks for that. It's just a lower version of it. So with Kurosami, I think he pretty much opens with everything. So you could just hit like a 15 or 35 right away. If you wanted to open with the AA, you could. He's got 3 uses of it. Let's do the AA just because we have it. So sure, let's go ahead and hit this. This is going to do an attack, by the way, and he does get buffs from it. And then you see the Ice Pillar follow-up. 800... Okay, so this is something notable. We just did 800k on an AA. That is very good for an AA. So you could just, if you want to just throw down some damage quick, you could just spam that, right? That's pretty good damage. And we have no BT auras up, none of that. That was actually pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and throw a Vieira's Punishment down. This also has some debuffs, and I believe part of Vieira's Punishment is also a little bit of an HP damage taken up. So we're going to have a lot of that going on here. So sure, let's go ahead and start with Iceblade Erensen. Let's see, how is Kurosami's damage here? And then Ice Pillars are going to help, man. The Ice Pillars are strong. Dude, 1.2 mil on a 15. I hate this. I do these character guides and I end up like liking them. I'm like, I'm not going to pull for him, and then I like them. It's making me want his BT. But I know he's not going to be like crazy meta or anything, but man, he is going to be fun, I think. So let's talk about Iceblade Erensen. I'm just telling you right now the damage I saw. I do have a 5 out of 5 Ultima weapon on him, but we don't have his BT and we don't have him blue armor. So I'm trying to compensate for that a little bit to show you what like a maxed out Kurosami can do for damage. So that was a single target. And one thing to remember, his 15 is single target and his 35 is AoE. So you typically would open with like the AoE because you're usually doing an AoE fight. But I'm just going to kind of go in order and show them to you. So we get a buff called Quiet Instructor. This is going to be a self-ice enchant. Now keep in mind, a lot of his attacks will already do ice. Enchanting the same element you're already doing is good because it just adds a percentage upgrade to the damage you do. So even though this is already an ice attack, now when he's enchanted for ice, it's an extra 30% ice damage on top of that. So that's really good. And then this does do a party attack up and max brave up, right? All right, so Rains, so with Rains, I could do like turn manipulation and stuff, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit Rains BT effect because I just want BT auras up. So we're going to do that. And then what I think I'm going to do with Garnet is I'm going to pull her for Hope, force charge as much as I can, and then hit her BT effect. And then we'll see my boy Kurosami with some BT auras up. And he won't be able to get his own because, once again, I don't have the BT. But seeing 2 pretty good BT auras up, I think, will be a nice look at him, right? All right. So we will Aquamarine for the free turn. Then we're going to go and grab Hope. We'll just let Hope charge for days. Get some free gauge here. Yep, charge it up. I do like that Hope's animations are very quick. He's a very quick, like, pop in and charge, right? So now we're up to 54%. We'll do the AA with Garnet. Get all the buffs we can. See how Kurosame's looking here. Yeah, let's BT effect. All right, so now we're going to have double BT auras as we do these attacks. So we'll do the 35. Let's see what his AoE damage looks like with full BT auras up. Should be pretty good. Once again, dude, the Ice Pillars, man, there's some brave hits on that. It's very good. By the way, the Ice Pillars, those Ice Pillars trigger anytime Kurosame deals HP damage. Okay, so now with Rains, now we go crazy. And we're going to be launching too, by the way. So yeah, now we can just bring Kurosame up. And we'll take some launch damage. And then Rain's getting the big Seraphic charge. This is going to be big damage. I did want to include Range just because he just got his Echo as well. And I'm not going to redo his character guide just for getting the Echo because he operates the same. But we can Echo with him in the video and just take a look at like Range's damage a little bit. So this is kind of a little bit of a look at him as well. That's why I included him here. All right, so let's do the 35, which is called Multi-Blizzaga MIS2. All right, let's see what this is looking like here. AoE ice damage. We're getting the weakness damage. Ice Pillars. Oh, shoot. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel the launch. I want to see more of the pure damage. All right, 1.7 with a 6 mil splash. That's really good for the 35, you guys. That is really good. So Ice AoE, it gives him the Quiet Instructor buff, which we got from the other one, so very easy to upkeep that. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention. So his really good debuff, the Hyoro one, Iceblade Erensen. So he comes in, it's at 2 stacks. Iceblade Erensen does 1 stack. And then the Multi-Blizzaga does 2 stacks, and then any enemy turns add a stack up to 5. So if we look at like this guy here, there it is. This is the buff. It is at full stack. So we are doing 30% more HP damage. Now the reason why they pair Rains with them, Rains can help you keep your party in front so that buff doesn't reset. Where's the other one at? So this one's only at 4 stacks here. But now with Garnet, the enemies are going to end up getting a turn. I mean, I could do some crazy shenanigans, but that's okay. Actually, I'm going to throw Raijin down. And then the one that's at 4 stacks, when they take their turn, it should go to 5. And the one that's at 5 is going to reset back to 1, which is fine. Let's go ahead and just do this. We'll swatch that. But there are some ways around it. So one notable thing you can do is if you say confuse or paralyze the enemies, and they take a turn with 5 stacks, it will not reset the stacks. So if you wanted to say run him with a character like Mog has a good chance to do some confusion, right? Or if you want to do Ash, who can paralyze, or Cloud, who can paralyze, you can keep that at 5 stacks. So now if we look at the enemies here, this guy was at 4 stacks, he's now at 5, so we're maxed out there. This guy, though, he reset back down to 1, because he took a turn while it was at 5. So the general idea is if you want to get the most out of it, try not to let the enemies get turned at 5, or if you can, confuse them or paralyze them. The other thing that you can do is you just want to make sure before you go into like a burst phase, just make sure they're both at 5 stacks. And then during the entire burst phase, it's going to stay at 5 stacks. Your main attacker is getting extra 30% HP damage on those enemies. It's quite powerful. And that's really like the big draw to his kit, right? Garnet, let's just pop this, I guess. And then we should be, by the time Kurosami comes up, we should be ready for Force Time. So I'm thinking we would just pop the Force Time. I'm thinking. Let's see here. Let's just do Cavalry Rush. Sure, and we'll just leave Kurosami pulled up. That's fine. Okay. And big damage from Rains. Yeah, dude. 2.9. That was Reigns' 35. We just did 2.9. Reigns is top tier, you guys. Reigns is good. Single target. Holy cow. All right. So we're at 98. That's okay. We'll do the LD here. Because I forgot to do his moveset, but we're actually okay with it set up like that. I can still see it. All right. Let's just check this out. Let's just see with like we've got full BT auras on, or we have 2 auras on. What's his AA do here? Let's just do the AA again. It was 800k to start. What's it looking like now? Dude, 1.1. Dude, 1 million damage on an AA is like unheard of. That's actually really cool damage. And then, we got... So I could just be like, yeah, I want to do another mill. Let's just pop it again. That's pretty crazy. I wouldn't recommend doing it during a force time, but like just some extra like free damage, that's pretty heavy for what that is, right? Sure, let's drop the force and then we'll do the LD after. Yeah, let's do it. You know what? Kind of want to do the burst phase, because if I do the burst phase, they're going to stay at the stacks, right? Let's do that, because we can... yeah, that should be fine, because we can... Or not burst phase, but I mean summon phase. And then I'll have access to his EX I can show you as well, right? So let's just pop FR. And we're paired up with Core, dude. That's a sick combo right there. Core, by the way, in the month of May will be getting his Echo, and it's going to be busted. I recommend you all pull for this man. Core. Oh, yes. Alright, so how much damage we got? 3 mil, and then 2 mil to the other enemy. That's good damage. Quite good damage. So let's talk about his FR. What do we got going on with my boy Kurasame's FR? So we did the big attack there. It does put the debuff up to 5 stacks. So the nice thing is even if they're at 1 stack, they would just instantly go to 5, which is very good. And then the HP damage bonus conditions, you just have to do Ice, which is going to be for free because he's enchanting the party. And then basically if you target an enemy with his big debuff on, it's 10% per stack. So assuming you keep that at 5 stacks, you're getting 70%, and it's very free. This is a character you can use with pretty much anybody in the game that is non-elemental or ice, because as long as they can get enchanted for ice, it's a free 70%. And if you have his BT effect, it's going to be really easy to keep it. We'll explain that in a minute, right? So now that we're in force, we start dropping the Echo. So we'll Echo with Garnet. And then I'm going to be interested to see what Reigns' Echo looks like. How much damage is my boy Reigns going to be doing on an Echo here? This is where this fight just gets blown up, by the way. All right, 2.4 mil on Garnet's Echo. We'll take 73. So this is the nice thing. His force is a good one to use as your main, and then echoing with the other 2 characters, right? And here's the thing. Garnet is actually got the wrong elements on, so I don't think she even got the full effect there. We should see it with Reigns, though, because he's non-elemental. So with Reigns, let's do Reigns' Echo. I believe we should get a higher percent than 73. We should get like 93 in theory, right? And with that, we'll pull Kurosami up. That's fine. Let's see. Do we get 93? That's what I believe we should be getting here. Oh my god, Reigns, your damage. Chill. Chill with that damage, Reigns. All right, what do we got here on the launch? This is going to be insane. Because remember, we're pairing this with a 30% HP damage up. That's why this damage is so heavy. Okay, 10 mil. That was a very early 10 mil, by the way. A very early 10 mil. All right. All right, Kurosami. We got to do your EX and we got to hit up your LD yet. So let's do your LD. This is called Absolute Zero. And then we'll do the EX and then we'll talk about what the BT. The BT is very good, you guys. So I'm going to say this. If you're planning to use Kurosami a lot, like if you really like him and you're going to main him, then you want to get the BT. Otherwise, I think he's fine as a call. All right, so yeah, Kurosami did about 10 mil there with 3 mil on the other enemy. 3.5. Very good. So let's talk about the LD. So this is called Absolute Zero. AoE Ice Attack. He is going to get a free ability use on his next turn. What I recommend you all do with that free ability use is hit up that AA. Take that free 1 mil damage with the buff for sure. Unless you're in Force, obviously. If you're in Force like we're at right now, you would either just Echo, or if you want to use up a turn of it, then just I would probably hit the 35, because you're usually going to be wanting an AoE attack, right? Then he gets a buff called Warm Gaze. The Warm Gaze buff is Elemental Weakness damage up, Party Attack, Brave damage, and Overflow stolen up, and then it is going to Ice Enchant, and then give Elemental Weakness damage up and more HP damage up. So that's pretty dang good, right? Then let's go ahead and we'll Echo again. I gotta be careful. These enemies are gonna melt pretty soon if I'm not careful. I probably need to stop echoing. I actually probably shouldn't have done this Echo. I think with Garnet's next turn, we're just gonna Brave Attack, because Reigns is gonna be dealing some really heavy damage here. Yeah, we gotta chill, because we're getting into like one-shot territory here. Okay, Reigns, we're definitely not gonna Echo, but Reigns will just Cavalry Rush and we'll get Kurosami back up. And I'm actually going to, like, not attack. Actually, I should have just... I'm just going to cancel. I got to stop, like... I got to chill on the damage a little bit. Because we haven't even seen Kurosami's full kit yet. Alright, we got to do the EX, and then we'll talk about the BT, and why his BT is actually really good. So, yeah, let's do Ice Reaper, the EX. This should be nice damage. This is at 500%, by the way. And we got those pillars. Dropping. Dude, those pillars. Oh, my gosh. So, yeah, 10 mil with 6 mil. That's nice. Yeah, these guys are about melted. All right, so the EX. AoE Ice Attack gives himself the Ice Pillar buff, and it does 2 stacks of his big debuff. So the Ice Pillar buff is attack and max brave up, overflow stolen up, HP damage up, brave stolen up, and then it triggers the Ice Pillar traps. So you want to make sure you upkeep this because you want those Ice Pillar traps. We've seen how strong they are, right? So Ice Pillar is just an Ice Brave HP attack, and he does Brave gain between the attacks. Very nice heavy attack there. Garnet, I think I'm going to Brave attack because these guys are about to blow up. Sure, you can take a turn. Now, we did lose the 5 stacks, but that's fine. I just want to get Kurosami another turn here. We'll just Brave attack with Reigns, and we'll just cancel out. All right, so what should we do to finish? Oh, Garnet's going to finish the left enemy, I think, with that. Yep, all right, we got one more swing we can do here. So let's let Garnet just Brave attack here. All right, and then Kurosami's going to get one more swing. Let's talk about the BT while we're still on this page. So the BT is called, oh my gosh, Biocessation Magic Freeze. And this is going to be a big BT attack. It's going to do a 6-turn burst effect. The big thing that this does is it puts the... It's basically equivalent to a freeze debuff, but it's not actually a debuff. It's a buff on himself, right? And it's a buff that can't be dispelled. So the enemies are basically frozen. What freeze does in this game is it means enemies can't Brave gain. And Brave gain means by any means. So they can't just flat out Brave gain themselves. They can't battery. They cannot gain Brave from attacking you or breaking you. They just cannot get Brave. So if they're broken or at 0, they just can't HP damage you. So if you do the right team comps, and Reigns is a really good, once again, they were smart putting Reigns with this man, because you pop his BT effect, you use Reigns, and you pull up and ping pong the other character and let Kurosame sit back there and not even attack. You're just riding that BT effect, and the enemies can't kill you. So a very good defensive tech on that, right? And then the other thing is on his debuff, the stacks will not decrease. So then you don't have to stress about paralyzing. They'll sit at 5 stacks even if the enemies take turns. So that is also nice that you don't have to worry about those stacks going down. And then it does do a Brave damage up, Brave damage limit up, HP damage limit up. And then you get another HP damage limit up when you're attacking an enemy that has the debuff on, right? So when you combine all of the HP damage bonuses this guy's got going on, you can see how heavy the damage was feeling very heavy overall in this video. And it's really good. It is really good competitive damage. Once again, I don't think Kurosami's going to be your main damage dealer. I don't think he's going to be your main support. But I think in a situation like this, he makes a great slot 3 unit, right? Reigns main DPS, Garnet support, Kurosame being that awesome utility secondary DPS. I think he really can fit in. So if you like this guy, do not feel bad. Do not hesitate to go and get him. He's good. Just manage your resources. We've talked about what else is coming. Just make sure you prepare for what you want. All right, let's end on a banger. Kurosami and Core in the FR, 685%. How much damage we throwing down? Oh yeah, we're overkill. We're for sure a little bit overkill. Ice Pillar. And then he's at 20 mil. All right, we'll end with a 20 mil shot. Not even at full gauge. Our man's looking pretty good. I would be really excited to see what he looks like full on with his BT and everything. I think his damage is actually quite good. So anyways, let me know what you think of Kurosami. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.